We're live. Look, you're over. No, you're this way over here. Yes.
Yeah,
There's
that
Tom.
just shows you we're live because we're moving around and talking.
Yeah.
So,
There's Tom.
so happy to have everybody show up. It's going to be a great show. They always are, and they get better because me and Mike are getting better, and then me and Mike are getting better together. And now we're bringing you into the game. And so feel free to comment, feel free to reach out, feel free to check out the website there and become a member of LinkTank. And with that said, Mike, what's the outstanding topic of the day?
Oh, we had a new member sign up today. That was nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. Congratulations.
Yes.
Uh,
So that's great. When I started to get some momentum, I think two things. One, and we spoke about this while we were planning today's session, understanding the value of what you have. And I think the other part of it is patience.
mm-hmm.
And, and it's not patience. What is the word I'm looking for? It's like it's aggressive patience. What do you call those things that are two opposites? Aggressive patience.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole idea is it's so easy to see what you're into when you're out of it, right? And when you're first entering, you only bring in from where you've been and you start projecting it to where you just found yourself. And what I find is people need to change in a lot of ways, and in other ways they shouldn't change at all, right? Because they came in hopefully somewhat successful, somewhat experienced. The same life lessons transfer pretty easily, and some principles have been around since people have been around and be around forever and haven't changed. So the key is how do you take advantage of LinkedIn, right? The key isn't a question mark, is LinkedIn an opportunity? It's how do you get your piece of the pie,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And what we found is people think because they can just go out and reach more connections and keep building, in a lot of ways, vanity numbers, that somehow that's going to work. But one thing Mike knows as well as I do for sure is at the end of the day, it's got to come down to data, right? And if you've got 1,000 connections, that's a lot of data, right? Which will tell you what your next 1,000 will look like if you keep doing what you've been doing to get the first 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. Um, I mean, I'll share what I can see. I know what I can my our clients' data I can see. I'm not going to share names, but I'll share also what I can see. So, um, Gary Vaynerchuk, 5 million viewers. Shay Robotham, I think 1 million viewers now. And I don't think any of them, I'm speculating now because I can't see their views, but I know that our client got her video of her teaching, 888,000 views, and another video of her, 700 something thousand views, and another video of her, 600 something thousand views. Now, I think around 8,000 connections. Wait a second, 8,000 connections. I don't think, I mean, unless it's a video of like a cat and kittens, one of those. I could only guess and speculate. It would be very hard for me to think that. And Shay's got some good videos of her singing. She's a very good singer, well produced. But from a 2 minute teaching video, I'd be shocked if they had any of those videos north of 500,000. Now that's still good. but,
Mm-hmm.
one, but one person's got 5 million followers and has been the leader on social media for 22 years. The other person has 1 million followers and she's been, just, a very dynamic on LinkedIn for the last couple years versus 8,000 viewers and a regular person and no fame, no fortune, no singing or dancing or anything like that. It goes back to what you discussed earlier. A super solid business person sharing what she knows and what she's doing and what their company is doing and implementing that is adding value. Now, here's the key: why would one of those posts with only, she has 8,000 followers, why would it get 880,000 views?
Well, here's the what I believe is the short answer is she was very smart in building distribution along with her content. So, in other words, if you want to play in a 20,000 seat arena, you've got to get 20,000 people to know and go into that arena before you start performing, right? The lady you're talking about got on CNBC, MSNBC, all these channels, right? And that's why it was organic growth, viral growth, because it couldn't have gone through 8,000 connections to get to that level on LinkedIn. It had to get
Actually,
outside of LinkedIn.
that's the reverse. She had
Yeah.
no TV exposure at all, and
Well, the
from
point is that
8,000,
she's built an audience who looks forward to her stuff because when you have one home run or grand slam after another, it's not the luck of you just hit a topic and an audience, because we've seen people that in our group get 1 million views but can't always repeat it, right? And a
no,
lot of
yeah,
it isn't native content, right? When you're sharing somebody else's great stuff, they already have name recognition. So, whether you're building and that's one of the things that I think is important to the topic today, is what community on LinkedIn are you building that will support your efforts and your content, and vice versa. That's where the collaboration
yeah.
comes
And I think that's important, but I also think that you should be cultivating the right audience that are going to be buyers or
in.
strategic
Hmm.
partners. I would much rather have. I mean, I only have 13,000 people, and but I would much rather have 13,000 people with 6,500 potential buyers than 1 million people with even the same number, because it becomes all noise. Like, you think how much hard, if I have 13,000 and a half for buyers, it's pretty easy to get to my buyers. But if I get 1 million and 6,500 of buyers, there's a lot of noise in there, because you're not
Hmm.
going to get, you're just not going to, no one's going to show you. If you have 1 million people, they're going to show it to 1 million people. That's not how it works. You
Hmm.
won't get that. So it's not like, oh, I have 1 million, so I get 1 million distribution. No. Um, so I think
Well,
that's one key. The other key, like you mentioned earlier, is like, for the people that are watching us right now, Don and I are, experts in business, and we teach. We love to teach. We love to bring people along. And so that's a very good way to produce content, is to teach, because you don't need to measure yourself against the guru and say, well, to measure to that person, I'm nothing. And it might be true. Like, me to Gary Vaynerchuk, I'm nothing. But me to, there's 880 million people on LinkedIn. Me to 800 million people, I'm something.
hmm
And so if you're watching Don and I right now, or watching on the replay, it means you found a couple of guys that are into business, are into utilizing LinkedIn as a great community and a great channel to teach and do business. So it must mean that you're interested in doing business. If that's the case, then figure out who your ideal customer is and what you have to add, and then start doing the content. That's part one, right? And then part two, Don, we talked about, and you can talk about this. You you don't want to just keep chasing new people.
hmm
And why don't you share, Don, about the value of your first connections and gestation periods, which we were talking about? That's where I was saying you got to be patiently aggressive. But explain this part, Don, because this is very important.
No, this is absolutely important because what you have acquired is what you've earned. through LinkedIn. LinkedIn determines who gets what based on what they do and what they don't do. So, you're being measured and promoted or demoted based on your activity on LinkedIn. So the key is if you've got 300 connections, whatever the number is, that's what you got to work with. Look at it and say, who are these? Because, Mike has a wonderful mastermind group on Thursdays. And one of the questions that I remember from yesterday was, how do I deal with people who respond back to me? Right? Because, look at comments and, a lot of people aren't my people. They're not into what I'm into. But the answer, when I thought about it, and that's the good thing about these programs, is not what you learn, but what allows you to think about that you wouldn't. Come up with a clue that fits the puzzle and bam, right? Doesn't matter what we're doing, doesn't matter what we do for you. It only matters what you do for yourself with us, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
we can move the needle for you, we've done our job. So here's the key point to it. You look at what you got and you say, from the inbound, the answer is whatever your target client was going out, that's what it is going in, right? If you're looking for CEOs of top 50 companies, then everybody coming in, if they fit that, that's who you need to respond to better, right? So there's a differentiation. They're the ones who you want to look at their profile, hear something about themselves back to themselves. The other people, all you got to do is say thanks for the kind mention or appreciate your thoughtful comments, and that's it, right? It's an acknowledgement. But the point is, you take inventory all the time, right? If you're in business, I was in retail, you look at your stock all the time. What do I need? What I got too much of? What do I got to change? You look at what you built up and you say, what can I do with this? And if the answer is I got 5 people, I should really start building those conversations, because the gestation period I'm seeing, honestly, between a year and a half and 2.5 years from the time I meet somebody. I'll tell you a funny thing. There was a lady, I looked at my likes, right? How many people look at their likes every day? And there was a lady that looked really great. Her profile was perfect. And she was a first connection. And she just happened to like a post that day. I happened to see her liking my post. We connected in 2019. She's
Mm.
got 27,000 connections. She's a high level business coach. And just because of the like, now I said, boy, it took us 4 years to get a comment. Maybe we should speed things up here. Let's have a Zoom. And that's as simple as it is. Be friendly, be conversational. Don't be afraid of rejection, because most people are waiting for invitations that never come. So I'm saying, by taking inventory, it says, hey, after 30 days, I did this, got this. What do I want to do the next 30 days? You know what I mean? Same thing. Well, then you'll get the same thing. If you say no, and here's the point, if you just come up with 2 more elements, which is time and effort. If you don't do something to cut the time and effort, you're going to build the time of frustration. You're going to leave or just be on the sidelines, like we talk about outside in the tailgating party. If you want to, you join people like us who are going places, because here's the thing. LinkedIn is so huge, it's so unexplored, let alone developed, that anybody banding together with knowledge share and effort, and that's what me and Mike see as the defining element, is action, right? Anybody can learn what we have to teach, because it's just duplicating what we're doing. It's not novel, it's just repetitive, but it works. The question is, will you go and do it long enough, hard enough, and get yourself in the game? Don't tag on to somebody's coattails, because eventually it's like music. You start doing things on your own, you start nuancing, you start experimenting. That's when you're getting into the place where it says closed track only with a professional driver. But you see, me and Mike are risking our lives figuratively on LinkedIn in the frontier. So when we bring it back, it's ready to order. So, anyways, I think for the gestation period, I think it's a year and a half, 2 years, if you start building quality relationships now, right? Because everybody's busy. Not everybody hits. I mean, put it this way: how many times do you get exposed to somebody and you jump on it, right? It goes in the pile. it's a connection, maybe you think about it. That's even where the opportunity is start working it. Because here's the thing, even rejection will tell you to stop doing what you're doing. And you're better off getting a rejection from people that you don't want anyways if they say no. So look at it that way. More rejection, faster learning curve, and you adjust. I'll tell you one personal story real quick. When I started my business, had nothing. Had a Buick. I would go to banks and they turned me down. I just wanted the money on the Buick, nothing for the business. So after 4 turndowns, the only thing I would say is, hey, thanks for your time. Is there something that I'm missing? Right? Is something could I done different? After 4 times, my package was perfect because I figured out everything I was getting denied because of. On LinkedIn, it's the same thing. Test what you have. Don't be afraid of it. Be proactive and work it. So, anyways, Mike, does that cover that
Yeah, it
question?
does. It does. And so I want to agree with the one part about the gestation period to really build um, relationships. I think it's like you're right on the money in terms of what it takes, and it can happen faster if you happen just to kind of jump on it. I mean, everything builds from, and it's common sense, the first meeting. So that first meeting, that first Zoom meeting, seeing eyeball to eyeball and getting to relate to someone is going to open the door and say, ah, this is kind of my person or it's not. And that's different from really going after the business from a sales perspective, because obviously in a sales perspective, you want to collapse the sales cycle. And the sales cycle, the gestation period for the sales cycle is, weeks to months. It's not like a cold call, one call on the phone selling someone. It's more like, okay, I'm going to add value. Here's a PDF. Great. Thanks. By the way, you want to jump on a Zoom, go over the framework, get to know someone, add some value, and then you can, go ahead and book a longer Zoom and go through like your offer. So that takes time. And in between, the beautiful thing about LinkedIn is in between that period, normally when you're doing it without LinkedIn, if you're in between there, you're going to send emails with more material. The old days, you would send direct mail or send them a brochure, but there would be gaps in time where anything could happen, right? Here, even between one meeting to the next, if it's a day or 3 or 5, and you're doing your consistent work on LinkedIn and you're producing content, you're always going to be coming up. And for that next meeting, you've set yourself up in a position that it just empowers that next part of the conversation. So, from a sales perspective, we want to be able to add value, get on an introduction call, build relationship, add more value, get on a sales call, and then close business. The the strategic partnerships, like what Don and I have been working on now for the better part of almost a year since we've been working together. It took like a year and a half, right? We
Mm-hmm.
were back and forth, and we didn't jump. We were supposed to jump on the Zoom, we didn't, and we just poked in and say, "How's it going? Great. What are you working on? Cool." And then we actually were on a Zoom, and I remember we were talking like we could do something together. Yeah, good. And then we were back and forth and back and forth. We got on another Zoom. We say, "Hey, let's do something together." Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then finally, the third Zoom, it's like, okay, maybe it can look like this. But this is a different relationship than a sale because we're partners. We did LinkTank together. Don adds tremendous value to my group. I add value to the LinkTank group that we have. So all the opportunity is there.
It's more than there because here's what I mean, what you said was so profound, Mike. I hope everybody got as much out of it as I did. Is that you're as good as who's with you and who's for you, right? I'll give you an example where me and Mike are, without patting ourselves on the back, we're miles ahead of the average person or maybe good person on LinkedIn, right? And from where we are to where they are is a kind of a shorter or longer period than where we are to like Gary V, right? If he was to reach down to us and say, "Hey, you guys are the best. I want to do a weekly show with both of you," right? And we would jump on it. right? What we're saying in another way to you, right, is you could jump with us to where we already are based on our knowledge, based on our capabilities. You know, Mike's got programs from soup to nuts, really, you know, to the point
A
where
kitchen sink.
if you got the time, he's got the value. And I'll tell you another thing that really validates everything for me and Mike is I've never seen a situation on LinkedIn that someone brought up that we couldn't improve. Right, Mike? When we say share your screen, share your story, share your content, right? And then if we're with 10 other people who are high flyers and whatever they're doing, look at the power.
Yeah, and the perspective. Yeah, the different different perspectives are so important. That's why you want to. That's why I mean, with the LinkedIn agency we have with the content stuff, the done for you stuff. I mean, every Thursday we're meeting, and I just got this from Thursday's meeting that and one of the participants said, the one thing that I really come to like about you, Mike, is that you don't pretend to have all the answers. And then
Mm-hmm.
Don and I laughed, and because it's impossible to have all the answers. They're LinkedIn's owned by Microsoft. This $26 billion purchase. They got a lot invested there. I don't know how much they're investing every day, but literally, if you spend the time on LinkedIn like we do, like I just went to one section of LinkedIn and was like, that's new, that wasn't there. This is
Mm-hmm.
over here. It's like they have an objective, and so they're going to keep supporting it and with new technology, and then and even inside of that, it's like, okay, well, that's features and functions. But there's a lot of different ways to be successful on LinkedIn. Like what Gary's doing, amazing. What like the 10 or 20 or 50 other people are doing, amazing. And everyone has their own
Mm-hmm.
methodology and own philosophy. And at the end of the day, who's to say what's better or what's not? Because from your perspective as a viewer, whether you're watching us live or on recording, the most important thing to do is basically go into the clothing store and just try on a jacket
Mm-hmm.
and then see how it fits. And if that's not the one for you, you just put it back on the rack and then try on another. So it's not a question of it's not dogmatic. The reason why we have a war for thousands of years is because each religion says my way is the way. So how can you say that? And then when you get so behind your way is the way, then we get into a war and we start killing people. It's just crazy. But there is no way. They're all, you know, as long as everything leads to, goodness and, whatever you believe in, it's all good ways. And so on LinkedIn, just make sure that the people that you're following are actually implementing and doing what they're saying. That's where you go really wrong. And it's not just on LinkedIn because my background is digital marketing, and there's so many people that have proclaimed gurus that aren't doing anything. They just blah 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 blah. So make sure you do your due diligence, and they're actually teaching what they're doing because that's how you get the experience. But there's a lot of different ways. So 228, Don. You know
Okay.
the I
Let's
think
kind of wrap it up. I think this was fast. It's the fastest 20 minutes on LinkedIn. I'll tell you that when we go to it. And you know what Mike's saying and what I'm saying is pure common sense and things that apply to many things beyond and than LinkedIn. But the key is who are you working with? This is a people business. This is a people platform. This is a social business platform. You need to be friendly. You need to be respectful. You need to service people. I mean, it's like if an old lady was crossing the street, how would you treat her? Well, that's how you got to look at LinkedIn, right? No one knows you, but kindness goes a long way because there's so much unkindness. And the other
kindness
thing is,
goes all the way. Yes, all the way.
yeah, and who are you with? And who are you for? And what are you for? And why are you for? You gotta get right with yourself first. Whatever me, you can't put some in a jar you don't open up the lid. So the point we're trying to make today
I like
is
that
that
one, Don. You can't put something in the jar before you open up the lid.
that's right. So you got to get right first and then get right for whatever you're doing. And I think what we tried to share today is there's value everywhere. And the reason why I think Gary Vee and these other people aren't doing as well as some of the new people is they moved into other territories of LinkedIn. They're using it differently, right? They grazed over there. Like I'm in LinkedIn Live now. 8 months ago, I was into something else. But what it shows you, you got to drill down, right? You can't spread out. You got to focus and niche and drill it. And I think that's why if
Yeah.
you take advantage of what you have, see what it's worth. Put it to the test. If you bought 30 cars, take it to the track and hit the gas, see what it does. And then you'll know if you got a lot full of great things or stuff you need to replace. Right? Your people are nothing until they activate and until you activate them. If you're just two negative poles on a battery, get to the positive, right? Change things up because time is ticking and it ain't for you, right? You got to be for you and time. And that's where we come in is I'll tell you what, if you had a medical issue, you'd want second opinions. You want everybody to tell you as much as you could. You're dedicating your future possibly to LinkedIn and the time you spend here. Why not get a consultation? Me and Mike don't chase and we don't manage, right, people, right? We invite them in, and if they leave, it makes us more room. It's like a regift to someone else. So anyways, take advantage of what you got, be proactive, and get with us. I'm
Play
telling
along.
you, get with the
Yeah.
group. It's going to be a big thing, this LinkTank collaboration thing. You could say you were at the front end, and you're going to get so much more attention until it grows where we're going to have to spend more time with more people. So with that said, have a wonderful weekend. Be safe. We'll be back on Tuesday. We'll be even smarter then than we were today. 3 more days of learning.
Yeah.
And I'm signing off.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. And,
Shalom.
the just take the action. That's really the key. Just figure out what jacket you want to try on and then stick with it for a few weeks and then just decide, okay, this is not for me. And you're going to be surprised at the success that you can have because it's there for everybody. It's an amazing opportunity. And have a great weekend. The link's here if you want to join LinkTank. It's a great community. We're here to support you and help you grow. And have a great weekend. Thank you.
Yep. Catch our enthusiasm